Welcome back. Okay, so for tonight's review, I wanted to try something a little bit different. So tonight's movie is something that's a bit of a hybrid. It's sort of a documentary slash expose and sort of a horror film, and it has some interesting results. Reviewing the Houses October Built. Now, this movie, it's kind of messed up. I'm not gonna lie. Not necessarily entirely in good ways. The entire premise of it is that it's supposed to be sort of a real look at America's haunted houses and what goes on there. Especially nowadays. I mean, haunted houses used to be something that like communities would run, and there'd be something that'd be like, ooh, scary, and a couple jump scares, and you could take your whole family through, and then it'd be over. But then as time went by, they started getting more and more extreme, looking for new ways to scare people. Uh, Controversies were coming up where people would get hurt in there. Um, in order to try to maximize the scare effect, some of the people who would work there would grab like actual knives, or they'd think they had a prop and they had an actual knife, or sometimes intentionally, yeah. And they'd slash at people and actually cut them open, cut themselves open, cut their coworkers open. Um, Controversies involving real human body parts, harassment, sexual assaults, rapes that have gone on there, intimidation and physical assault by staff or people who thought it was lame, didn't like it, or, God forbid, tried to film it, because a lot of places do not like that. And it's interesting in that regard, and that's something that I thought that they almost could have done like a documentary in the style of a found footage film, and I think that actually would have been really interesting, because that to me was almost more disturbing and upsetting than what eventually happens in the film when it does devolve into like an all-out horror film. I'm gonna get into some spoiler territory here just because I think I need to explain what really seems to go wrong. So if you want to avoid that, just um, skip ahead by about a minute or so, starting right about now. Okay. What gets me is throughout the whole time that they're doing this and exploring and trying to find these haunted houses that are, really scary. They will interview people who work there, people who run the places, um, ask them about certain controversies, interview people who went through them, ask them, did anything weird happen to you, etc. And it does noticeably upset some of the staff. In other cases, it seems some of the staff go out of their way to harass and scare the crap out of them while they're there, etc. Stuff like that. Now, what gets me is that near the end of the movie, they finally find this ultimate haunt or whatever they call it, and it's real. That's basically about it. The people who run it are actually psychotic. They're people who they've been running into throughout the entire time they've been doing this, inexplicably, somehow, before those people ever knew they were looking for them. And when they finally seek them out, boom, they all show up there, and it turns out they've been messing with them the whole time. They take them to their prefabricated haunted house cabin area, scare the living crap out of them, knock them out, bury them alive, and that's where the movie ends. So basically, it implies that they actually kill them. Uh, that is where it just kind of goes off the rails for me. Because that's not really scary. That's kind of something I expected to happen. And it also kind of removes you from the found footage element. It also just kind of makes the whole thing a lot less disturbing when, and also kind of raises too many questions that they never even take a second to answer. Like, why the heck was the guy in the bloody bunny suit with the axe that they met all the way back here, now all the way down here. That kind of thing. It just didn't make sense. And like honestly, like I said, I was a lot more disturbed hearing like actual stories of crap that went on in those places, interviewing the people who went through them. The characters were mostly likable enough, but at the same time, they do stuff that was like kind of creepy. Like, one of them may or may not have filmed a sex tape with someone without their consent at some point. Eh, I don't know. I couldn't tell if that was a joke or if they were being serious. Sadly, um, this movie's biggest issue, though, I think, is a very uneven pace. There's so much tossed in here that just feels like completely unnecessary padding. Um, it really didn't make sense, I guess you'd say. It felt like it was there to get like feature length time. Um, there's like a 3.5 minute long scene where they just find out, oh hey, there's bars here. Oh hey, there's a strip club. Then they spend like a minute and a half inside the strip club, and it's like then they're filming the dancers and everything, and that to me, I don't know, it felt both really like padding, like it didn't need to be there, and it also just felt like extremely gratuitous. Because really, it's the only thing in the entire movie aside from language that earns this thing an R rating. So it just felt like it was thrown in there to earn its rating almost. I don't know. Two stinkers in a row, I guess. Yeah. So again, it was a good idea, but not the best execution. I'm gonna give this one, just to be fair, 5 out of 10, 2.5 out of 5, right down the middle. It was a good concept, and there was some like genuinely scary and disturbing stuff in it. But then there's this other really predictable stuff and a whole lot of padding and some stuff that's kind of far fetched. Like, if these guys are willing to kill because you're seeking them out, then how have other people, gone through their scares or whatever, come out alive and been like, oh man, you gotta try this. It's so intense and so good, unless they're in on it and their plans. But again, that's like never something that's addressed. And you're just left with more questions than anything. At any rate, that is it for tonight. I will see you tomorrow night, Halloween night, um, for the last review, and then we will do the Q&A as soon as I get some more questions, because honestly, so far, we've been kind of light on the questions, really, which I'm a little surprised about. But, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Doesn't have to be Dragon Ball related, doesn't have to be movie related per se, just, questions about a lot of stuff except politics. Politics I am not touching. All right. At any rate, I will catch you guys tomorrow night then. See ya.